Ah, glorious tweed. What exactly can we say about tweed that hasn't been said many, many times already? But, you know, maybe not as much as we'd like. But it's still an important topic, and it's still a definite bold fashion statement in many regards. I mean, when I was young, I kind of don't remember seeing a lot of people in tweed anymore. Kind of the only one I really remember was like Kurt Vonnegut in Back to School. Like, I didn't read Kurt Vonnegut. I didn't know who he was, but I knew it was a funny part of the movie. I had, one professor in college who still kind of dressed like that with the really, the driving cap and the sweater vest. I didn't bother with the sweater or the three-piece kind of look today because it's warm enough in the house that I don't need a heavy tweed. But here I have a matching ish hat that I kind of found later, which is, and then this one that I bought before I had, I think, the tweed jacket, and then was trying to find stuff that matched it. And that is probably my main source of contention. We'll get into that. Literally with tweed, what do you wear with it? It's hard enough to find two tweeds that even match, much less know kind of how to style it, I think, for a lot of people. Um, the the first hurdle, though, being sticker shock. When you have that issue of you get what you pay for is one of the hallmarks of tweed more than maybe some other garments. And I think it was kind of out of vogue until, I mean, I was already interested in it because, again, from video one, my sort of heritage, tweed's kind of in the blood, I guess, but availability wasn't so much there, so it was kind of serendipitous that this kind of Downton Abbey thing happened around the same time I was getting interested in tweed, although I didn't see any Downton Abbey until around the first film came out, and then I think I binge watched some on PBS. Like, oh, this is what they've all been talking about for the last 10 years. Okay. And then more recently, there was the Peaky Blinders, which I still have not seen at all, and some other thing. But, tweed, it outlasts other trends. There's been many trends, and this has longevity. So, again, when you buy it, if it still fits you 10 years later, if it still looks good, you can still wear it 10 years later. You won't have that likely with a denim jacket, unless you barely ever wear it. It's not going to last that long through washings and wearings. A leather jacket obviously will last, but a leather jacket also makes a different statement or is not practical in every situation. And is tweed practical in every situation? Uh, Arguably no. It's seen as kind of more of a country esquire aesthetic fabric, and it's kind of bled its way into more casual or more formal use as everything else has become more casual, is what I'm trying to say. And again, others have made this point, so I'm not trying to break new ground as much as reaffirm a fact. Um, yeah, like I said, I don't know what TV shows to really reference from when I was younger. Not so much. It was kind of pervasive. Obviously, Sean Connery. I already posted pictures of me in that get up in the Indiana Jones tribute video that we did the other day. So yeah, but and it was shown literally as kind of the stuffy fabric, not the fun young guy adventure fabric, but it does have actually more um, of that tradition as well that kind of gets lost. That it is an outdoors fabric too. And when Hollywood wants to show it as iconic, sometimes they leave off part of the iconography or whatever. I think with tweed, it's versatile, but it is another garment where I'm going to say it works better less as a capsule piece and more when you have dedicated things that kind of go with it. Not entirely, because obviously I could wear almost any tie, although typically it's more of the solid color with the, like a little design kind of tie. I went with the tartan here just to be bold, but I can be bold with it, and it doesn't affect too badly. I mean, if obviously if I went with a totally clashing pattern, it would be totally clashing to the pattern. So okay. But again, like I said, I'm wearing a simple hat, which is, a kind of a novelty hat, as opposed to wearing, a more traditional hat where the patterns don't exactly match, but the colors kind of do. And there's enough separation between your head and your coat that you can get away with a little bit more. But of course, this hat was kind of a heavy, warmer hat, and I didn't completely care for the fact that they were two totally different patterns. So I finally hunted down this one. And so there you go. So I have, at least 3 hat options that I can wear with one jacket. But typically I tend to kind of say, okay, this one looks best with this one and go with that. Because until that hat is, ruined or destroyed, if it matches the jacket and looks good, then of course I'm going to want to pair them as much as possible. I have no, well, I mean, obviously the jacket could die before the hat too, but that probably happens less because you sweat more. And anyway, so yeah, if this jacket were to go bye bye though, I can wear any of these 3 hats with almost any outfit because they're just hats. But obviously, usually you try, obviously I'm trying to buy the hat usually to match the jacket, not the other way around, because this costs more than this. So I know it sounds a little common sensey, but again, practical tips. I have had this issue with other things, especially with, we'll get into a tartan discussion a lot more heavily in the other video, but trying to match tartan accessories is even worse than trying to match tweed accessories, because tweed is a little more forgiving because we're mostly just dealing with earth tones. I mean, the big issue for most guys for many decades has basically been it only comes in like ugly colors. It's this rough fabric, and this one's not even as super rough as some of the, I don't know, it's kind of an unbranded piece. Whereas I do have like Harris tweed, which is heavier and scratchier. I think I have like 3 Harris jackets, and they don't, in my climate, get worn as much as a lot of the lighter weight ones that I have that aren't from a reputable mill necessarily. Excuse me. But they still look nice. So there's that. I don't. Let's see. Less capsule. Yes, I had not talked specifically in previous videos about corduroy pants. Obviously, that's one of the staples that people typically associate with tweed or wear with tweed more than even the twill khakis. Um, I I guess you can wear jeans with tweed if you really, really want to, but I think it looks better if you're wearing corduroy or wool pants. Obviously, wool pants have separate issues, um, but you're not going to likely find matching tweed pants for many designs unless you buy a full suit and you're going not necessarily bespoke, but some places will offer a full suit. Most places won't. A lot of times it'll just be a jacket. Sometimes you can get a back jacket and a vest. I have many jackets and vests that match and almost no pants that match. But I have found the odd pair of wool pants that really blend or, you know, go well with the at least some color in the tweed, maybe not the whole color, maybe not even the main, I guess would be kind of a tan color here more than the brown color. So if I wore brown pants, it would maybe look a little better than if I wore tan pants. You know, every tweed being slightly different. There was a guy who had made a joke in one of the comments about, on somebody else's video about, oh, look how amazing it is that they spend all this time blending all these colors just to come up with dull green. Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, if you just want army green, there's a lot easier ways to, go about it or find it. But I think a lot of people do really gravitate toward a well made tweed that does have that, unique color blending, especially because then you can put it with green pants or blue pants and you can't really tell if the jacket was meant to match one better than the other, and it kind of matches both pretty well, better than if you just have like a solid color. um Although sometimes, like I said, that totally blows up because I bought this vest of it's not an actual tweed, but it is a kind of a tweedy wool. I guess technically that makes an actual tweed, but it's not a famous brand tweed, whatever. Um, but it's just a regular pearl gray, and I literally could not find any tweed that really goes well with it. In the same complementary matter the manner in the same complimentary manner as if it was just a pair of pearl gray pants. I think, if it was pants, it would be a little more forgiving. Whereas the vest, it's a little too shiny. It's a little too odd for an odd vest. It doesn't really work as well with the tweeds as I would like, because the tweeds have so much gravitas and so much pull and so much, drama going on in it. And this thing it's a nice looking vest, but just happens to be too flat. So yeah, your results may vary slightly. That kind of thing drives me insane, though. Because like I said, again, if I'm trying to match a cheaper piece to a more expensive piece, it at some point it's like, okay, well, this vest only cost $80 or whatever. Stop obsessing about it and just buy a vest that matches the jacket instead. Like, instead of trying to find a jacket that matches the vest, just wear the vest as a standalone and leave it at that. Um, another argument I have in my own head very often, I don't know how much this affects other people, is, do I warrant or should I have an estate tweed or like a personal pattern? I'm still kind of torn because there's so many beautiful tweeds to choose from already before spending all that extra money to design one just that's going to be the only one you ever wear ever. But if you're not going to wear tweed very often and you want it to be special, then that might make more sense. Personally, for me, though, I would still need two or three multiple ones that would be similar in theme or pattern design, but would be more seasonal in color. So I would want to wear this in autumn, winter, but then come spring, I'm still going to want like a joyful, green, maybe with a blue. Again, stuff I already have off the rack. So spending the money to design that would be kind of silly at this point. But uh, if these trends kind of die out with these movie shows and things, and it becomes harder to find, then it might become more of a bespoke thing again. Time will tell. Us diehards are hoping not, because we're really hoping that the younger people continue to embrace this, so that guys like me can keep finding the stuff without having J. Crew tell us we're too fat to buy their clothes. And I do have two herringbone jackets from J. Crew. One I did buy intentionally in a size too small because it was just clearance or whatever at the time, and it was the only way to get that color. And now I kind of regret it because it's even tighter than this one. To try and wear casually. Good luck. But again, at least they have resale value. So I spoke briefly on well, the mills, I guess. Well, let me mention first before I move on to that. Well, I mean, yeah, personally, I've always, kind of admired or whatever the Irish duffer, and I didn't quite feel I was necessarily old enough to pull it off at 30 if I wanted to. And there's younger guys now who are like, no, we want to dress this way, and I'm more fine with it now than I would, might have been at that age or whatever. Let's see this. The thing with the mills, well, okay, obviously, I guess we'll start at like I said, I have many that are, I couldn't tell you what mill they are, but I have found pieces. Mostly it's easy to find hats, obviously, and then jackets would be second. So I have some hats and jackets from, let's see, Lovat, Moon, Morelius, if I'm pronouncing that correctly at all, Martin, Lochheron, House of Edgar. I have some Donegals, but I don't know if any of them are authentic from Ireland, apart from a couple hats. I think most Donegal now is treated like a generic pattern that anyone should weave, and some people really like it, and other people go, it looks like lint, and I think it looks less like lint sometimes on the jacket than it does on a sweater. But I do have some of those sweaters too. Again, we'll do a sweater video soon enough. And of course, the gold standard, even more than Donegal, is the Harris Tweeds of Scotland, which typically this is the part of the video where I pull out the Harris hat. Actually, I thought this was a Harris hat, but it's not branded as such. Made in Yorkshire. So this is a North England mill, not a Scotland mill. So there's that. I do, like I said, you can usually, like I said, tell the Harris tweed a little bit more by the texture than necessarily the pattern. Tweeds obviously come in different patterns. I think some people do patterns better than others. I was surprised that for their tartan range, House of Edgar had less tweeds that I liked that I would want to use for jackets. Martin Mills, I ended up getting 3 or 4 jackets from them now. Like I said, Moon and Lovat, and a couple of the others I have from off the rack pieces. The Moon Mill is not one that does tartan very much that I know of, but they seem to do some pretty nice tweeds. Obviously, this check is, an estate Glen check pattern that's been borrowed. There's also, the famous Prince of Wales check and some others. The the hat is more of the standard herringbone, and this one is just a slightly different check pattern with an overlay, like a colorful window pane kind of thing. And like I said, there's such a broad array of tweeds. I'm not going to sit here and show them all off. You're aware of that, I'm sure. But just like I said, I've grabbed a couple that matched the jacket okay.